Three, two, one, live. You ever compare your confidence now to when you were in your late teens? You're like, no, Rose, no, I haven't done that. Well, what about how women in business use live streaming now to show their confidence regularly? You're like, now you're talking. Well, my name is Rose, and I'm an on-camera and voiceover talent, and also the owner of the live streaming Secret Circle, which helps women attract ideal clients using live video. And today I have with me Kelly Featheringham. Kelly, thank you for being here. I love your last name.
Thank you.
If you could just take a moment to introduce yourself to our crowd here, that'd be great.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to go live with you here today. Kelly Featheringham from Team Leadership Solutions, and I empower women in leadership to embrace their unique strengths so that they can take the seat at the table, and then together, hopefully, we can change the face of leadership going forward. So,
That's great. Anything that empowers women, I'm all about it.
yeah.
And I use that hashtag often, women empowering women, because it's important. So I'm just curious how you feel about going live and which platform that you typically would use the most.
Oh gosh. Well, live is one of those things where it's always a little bit daunting, right? I think that when I first started my company, I didn't want to go live at all. I liked the idea and the comfort of pre-recording so you could edit, stop, and go. I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with it over time. It's kind of a work in progress. And typically I do LinkedIn Live. I've done Facebook Live a couple of times, but LinkedIn is where usually I hang out for my social media interactions, so that would be the place that I do it.
Okay, so you do it mostly on Facebook Live then?
LinkedIn Live.
LinkedIn Live. And we did have a discussion previously about what it takes to go live on LinkedIn. It's a little bit different than the process of other platforms. I know you have to have at least 150 followers to start. And of course, you've had to start your account 30 days ago. You have to be in good standing, and you also can't be in China. Those are some of the rules. But you need a streaming tool in order for it to come into LinkedIn. So do you use something like Zoom or something to go into LinkedIn?
I almost exclusively use Zoom is the tool that I use. I have done StreamYard is another one. I've test driven that one. And then there's another streaming one that's similar to it's like Streamlink or something. I don't know. It was lesser known, but Zoom seems to be the most workable for me since I use it for work all the time. I'm the most familiar with it.
Right. And it's important for us to feel comfortable with the tech, right? Because even though we're doing this live on Zoom, we had a problem with doing it on our phones, getting it to go to LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn. Now I'm all like at LinkedIn. We were trying to get on YouTube live, and that was failing a couple times after we tried. And then we tried to go from Zoom to YouTube, and that also failed. So now we're just doing a Zoom and we're going to upload it because that's how it's going to go. But again, it's important to feel comfortable with the technology because you don't want to be worrying about that in the background while you're trying to connect to your audience. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, was there a time where you felt like, I remember you saying you did, like there's no way you would do live. Do you remember what you felt like? Like what was it about going live that made you feel, was it anxious? Was it another feeling that you were feeling about going live?
Definitely a little bit of anxiety and anxiousness. I think the pressure to feel like we get it right is very important. Meanwhile, and everybody talks about set yourself up as the authority, as this set, so it makes you feel like it has to be just right. But really, an authority is authentic, and we're not all right all the time. So it's almost like a misnomer there that we need to kind of get past that and realize that okay, maybe being authentic is not being perfect, not being right all the time.
And I think our world is getting used to that now. Like, actually, I always tell this story about how I was doing live stream in my car and there was a huge snowstorm outside. So I was talking about, the area that was blocked and I was waiting for it to open up and talking, and then all of a sudden the phone fell out of my hand and went under my seat. So literally, I knew everyone was looking into blackness, and I thought to myself, well, gotta improvise. So I kept talking to them and saying, well, you're under my seat, and I have to fish you out of there, and you're gonna have to wait because I'm not gonna open that door to the Wyoming wind, and when I finally got the phone back from underneath the seat, people were all chatting and laughing because they had done that before. Like, oh my gosh, I do that all the time and it takes forever to get the phone back, right? So people were actually connecting with me because I had made a mistake that they also had experienced, which I thought was interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I think COVID, that was one of the, for me, that was a positive thing that came out is everybody became a new movie star overnight, right? So I was teaching live all the time to the classes that I was doing training and teaching. So I had to learn real quick to just get comfortable. It may not have been live to the masses, but if you've got food in your teeth or you say the wrong thing, you're in the middle of a class, you're just going to have to roll with it and hope that they give you some grace.
Right. And during COVID, I think one of those things was they saw your pajama bottoms on.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But I actually saw your story on LinkedIn, which prompted me to connect with you to have you on the show because you had talked about yourself as a young woman, as a manager at Pizza Hut. And then you compared it to confidence and leadership as a woman today. So I was wondering if you could just kind of give us a little snapshot of what you discussed there in your LinkedIn post that had me like, oh my gosh, this was such a great story. And it's so great for women to hear because it's so true.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I worked at Pizza Hut from the time I was 15 until about 21, 22-ish. It was a long time ago. I'm trying to remember exact details, but um, yeah, I started as a hostess and then I worked my way up to a shift manager. And I think that picture was when I was a first shift manager. You have to wear a little bow tie, and I was responsible and in charge. As terrifying as that sounds, because I think I was 18 years old when we think about our 18-year-old self, you think about how responsible we were. But it never occurred to me back then that I wouldn't do a great job. I knew that I would do what needed to be done. I was confident. Sure, I had nerves about making sure I did it right and uh, impressed and made my bosses happy. But I think looking back now, I think, wow, that was pretty gutsy that I'd be like, yeah, I can raise my hand and be a manager at this age, and people will just respect me and do what I ask them to do, despite the fact that many of them were older than me. And I think as we get older, life teaches us that when we make a mistake, the consequences, right? They stack, they increase as we get older. Different pressures and things build, and those experiences kind of cut away at our confidence. And while I didn't have all the answers in my 18-year-old self, I did have some confidence that I can be good at this. There was no imposter syndrome of do I deserve to be a manager? That never even entered my mind. Whereas, you know, 30 years later now, 30 plus, I am there are times when we that comes into mind all the time is do I have the skills to do this? Can I do this? Will I be good at this? When you think about all of the experiences that we've built up over time, do it in reverse, it's amazing how the more experience we have, the more it almost makes us a little bit more aware of the areas where we might fall short. And instead of leaning on all of the wonderful experiences that we have that will make us excel, it's like we can't help ourselves but focus on the things that are going to make us fall short and worry about those. And so that was my post is wouldn't it be lovely if we could kind of remember back to when we were younger, and even if we didn't have all the answers, we felt that, oh, well, we'll figure it out. Because at this point now, we've got so much more experience, we definitely will figure it out, but we have to give ourselves a little bit of space and humility that it doesn't have to be just right.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think the confidence piece is so important to look back at our young selves. A lot of us were very confident and moving forward in our careers or our lives, college or workplace. place, whatever it was that we were moving forward with. Some people, I would say, maybe were not confident and they had to learn that as they grew. But I would say for myself too, to compare myself to that, I was very confident. I had so many jobs. I don't even know if I can remember one of them. I know once I was a Godiva girl and I would take chocolates out with the little tongue and go doot, doot, doot. And I actually loved that job because I have a little OCD. So it was like, oh, I have to make sure the chocolates are perfect, right? And I say every day that I am a recovering perfectionist because it's hard sometimes to show like I am a real person, but I do want to show my best side. And so there's that piece that creeps in as a woman in business like, well, what if people think this? And what if people think that? Right? There's always that like, what if? But really powering through the moment of saying, well, this is who I am. I know different things about live streaming. That's why I have this show. But I also like to have women on that are willing to do the live streaming, right? Because my audience is women that own businesses that are already successful and they always put at the back burner, I should have my face on camera for my business. Well, maybe I'll just wait on that, right? So there are the different types of people. Some people that think, well, I don't go on camera and that's it. And you get the hand. This is all you get. And I totally respect that and understand some women just will never go on camera, and that's okay. And then you have people that are like, no, no, not me, right? The hand's like down here, but they're secretly thinking, like, could I really do it? And then you have the women that put it on the back burner. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I really need to do that. So if a woman talked to you and said they were on the fence right now about doing something live, what would your response be to them about their confidence or anything they needed to think about before going live?
I think the first thing is someone needs to hear what you have to say. There's somebody out there for all of us that needs to hear, and they may even need to hear it in the less than perfect way that you're going to deliver it. And that may be what gets through to them. So by keeping that, it almost feels selfish for us to hide it away and not share it because there's somebody out there that needs to hear our message. And maybe it will prompt them or make them feel a little bit more comfortable or understood or confident in doing what they need to do.
I would
It's all
agree.
about leading by that example of, okay, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. Pushing through to just kind of get her done. But, learning along the way because live streaming is not something that feels natural to people. And I get that a lot from women. They're like, I don't like looking at myself on camera. I'm like, well, it's not a natural thing, you know? Once you start doing it and you start to know the techniques to get it to the place where you're comfortable, it really works for you. And then your message shines. So if you had to share with another woman or women in general in business, like one live streaming secret that you do when you go live or before you go live or something you do after live, something about in the live world, is there something like one secret that you would tell a woman?
I would say try to have one takeaway that you want to communicate to your audience. I think we try to make it very complex. We want to do 5 steps or 4 of these or do this or here's a fact sheet or whatever. If you can give them one thing, what is that one thing? And then spend whatever time you are trying to make sure that they at least get that one thing. They might get some bonuses, but make sure they just have one thing to walk away with that they'll be like, "Ooh, all right, that was worthwhile. I'll come back again."
Excellent. And so what's your one thing?
My one thing is don't be scared. Just do it. And find it in a way that works best for you. Like you mentioned, if you don't like to look at yourself, it for a while, I would close my thing so I didn't have to look at me. I would just look at the slides because I would find that I would see any imperfection or I'd be like, "Oh, my hair is sticking up," like all of the things. So find the setup, if it's Zoom, if it's Facebook, find the one that works for you that you can feel comfortable and confident, like you said in the tech. Because if you're confident in the tech, that's half the battle. If you don't know what you're doing on here, I'm a bit of a Luddite. So some of these things, I'm like, what are we doing? That's why I'm good at Zoom. I'll stick to Zoom.
Okay. And it works, right?
for now.
Right. And to
Until it doesn't, because sometimes that happens.
This is true. And to push through. Like I woke up this morning with the flu. So I tried to put as much cover up as I could underneath my nose because it's very red and my skin is very tender and I've been sneezing a lot. So
Oh,
maybe you wouldn't know that necessarily, but my voice to me sounds different, right? Because I know when I'm sick and if I give it one little tickle back there, I can feel the cough coming on. So before I do that, let me close this up with asking you, how can my audience connect with you?
I'd love to connect with them. I'm most active on LinkedIn. It's Kelly Featheringham is my handle on LinkedIn, but I'm also on Facebook under Team Leadership Solutions. So reach out. I'd love to support you in any way I can.
Okay, and your name is spelled correctly in the YouTube area where we're posting this video, which was live officially, but not YouTube live because they're having some problems today. So it was really great to have you on. Thank you so much for coming. There's just one last thing that my audience likes, and I wanted to see if maybe you agree. And that is, I know it's a little, like, how do you do marketing? And are you professional? Yes. I am. I'm very professional, but I do have this saying that's just F perfect, right? And F perfect can mean forget perfect. Like just forget perfect and do it, like you said earlier. It's like the Nike phrase, doesn't that work for everything? My gosh, it's like the best marketing phrase ever. Just do it.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you might say F perfect for us because we love it.
F perfect. I love it.
Thank you so much. We remember to keep it real, right? Whenever we're doing live. And you also can stand out by streaming live because it is your authentic edge in the AI age.